Welcome to our introduction of a unique addition to the home sewing market, the felting machine. We are proud to provide you this brief overview of this exciting product. Our goal is to show you amazing ways to expand your creative potential. We believe that the easier the tools, the more creative you become, and the simplicity, ease of use, and genuine innovation of this felting machine will make it the gateway for a whole new world of creativity in your sewing room or studio. Let's take a moment to see how the felting machine works and explore the main features of this exciting machine. The felting machine does not use thread and does not have a feed dog system. As a matter of fact, the felting machine doesn't sew at all. The felting machine is a felting or needle punch machine. Using barbed needles and the up and down motion of the needle bar, the felting machine meshes fibers and fabrics together to create amazing surface embellishments. Prior to the introduction of the felting machine, this technique was done by hand. This was tedious, often requiring many hours of work. Let's take a look at the needle unit. You'll notice that the needle unit contains 5 fixed barbed needles. The needles in the needle unit mesh decorative fabrics and fibers into a base fabric. The decorative materials that you place on your base fabric are pulled into your base fabric, embedding them together. The result is a unique new material, created entirely by you. These 5 needles are all attached directly into one unit, making it far less likely that you'll break an individual needle. The single unit design of the needle attachment also makes it much safer, because this design allows us to use very strong needles, allowing for a greater variety of fiber and fabric weights to be used. A removable 1 needle unit is also included with the machine and can be used for fine work where a smaller needle is required. Next, you'll notice that the presser foot does not rest on the needle plate as it would on a normal sewing machine. The foot is raised so that it can accommodate the free motion felting and needle punching techniques used on the felting machine. On the back of the foot, a simple adjustment screw allows you to adjust the height of the presser foot. You can set it at the lowest setting if you're working with lightweight materials, or raise it to a much higher level if you're working with bulky or heavy fabrics. The standard needle plate with the felting machine has 5 holes for the needles. This plate acts much like a straight stitch needle plate on a standard sewing machine, protecting your fabric from being pulled into the needle plate. Use the standard plate when working with lighter weight materials. If you're working with thicker or heavier fabrics and larger projects, you may choose the open needle plate. The open needle plate has 1 large hole, allowing for more play in the needles when piercing extra weight and layers. Felting machine tip number 1. Using the 5-hole needle plate with heavier fabrics could cause excessive needle breakage. The 5-hole needle plate should only be used when working with lighter weight fabrics. An important feature of the felting machine is this clear shield on the front of the machine. This is the needle safety guard. It's compact, so it doesn't get in the way of your work, yet offers a wide range of protection against the broken needle. The guard also acts as a finger guard and keeps your hands safe as you use the machine. Felting machine tip number 2. For maximum safety, always use the needle safety guard. The presser foot itself is also clear, allowing for an open view of your work. The hand wheel on the side of the machine works just like a standard sewing machine and raises and lowers the needle bar. For best results, always turn the hand wheel toward you. Let's also take a moment to talk about the parts of the machine you can't see. The front section of the machine base is removable, converting to a free arm for embellishing tight areas such as cuffs, sleeves, and pants, much like the free arm found on standard sewing machines. When we slide this off, you will notice the door that folds down to reveal the lint catcher. The lint catcher is perfectly placed below the needle plate to catch any lint or debris from your project in a central location. This makes it exceptionally easy to clean. Just use a regular sewing machine cleaning brush or a vacuum and remove the lint. We have also installed a protective cover within the machine which keeps lint from getting into the motor. You may have seen hand felting tools in your local craft store, and the felting machine works much the same way. The felting machine simply works much faster than hand felting with the speed of up to 900 punches per minute and provides for greater versatility. Now that we have explored the machine, let's begin exploring its creative possibilities. First, let's do a basic overview of the materials you can use with your new machine. The most important rule when using the felting machine is, there are no rules. You can use your felting machine to embellish works that you have made, such as quilts or jackets. Or you can use it to create something to stand on its own. The felting machine also works great for adding your own flair to ready-made garments and home accents. The amazing versatility of the felting machine makes it an exciting addition to your sewing room or studio. Because there are no rules, you experience total creative freedom. You can create 3D appliques, customized fabric colorations, watercolor-inspired prints, your own fabric, and much more. The key to success with the felting machine is experimentation. Search your local fabric, fiber, and yarn shops to find fibers and fabrics that will add interest, color, and texture to your project. Begin with a base material. This material is going to act as a canvas would in a painting, so you need to make sure your base is firm and will accept the materials you are hoping to embed. We found that fabrics such as denim, canvas, or wool or polyester blend felt work well as base materials. There are a wide array of colors and textures in these fabrics available today. If you wish to cover the entire base, you can use a neutrally colored base fabric. You may want your base material to show through your work, however, and in this case, you'll want to select the color and texture of the base to coordinate with your project. Once you have selected your base fabric, you'll choose the materials you want to use for embellishing. There is no limit to the materials you can add to your base, and each will yield a unique result. The best way to see the look of any material after needle punching is to experiment with scraps before embellishing your base. Felting machine tip number 3. Never again throw away any scrap fabrics, no matter how small. With the felting machine, your scraps can be your next embellishment. Natural fibers and fabrics, like woolen fabric and yarns or roving, work wonderfully with the felting machine and mesh readily. Add synthetic fibers and fabrics like lame or metallic yarns to add amazing and beautiful enhancements. Depending on your taste and your project, you can use combinations of materials to create the look you desire. As you can imagine, the possibilities for color and texture when using the felting machine are endless. Now let's explore the technique for using the felting machine. Place your embellishments on top of your base. Now lower the needle unit into your fabric. This will allow you to better control the placement of your materials and ensure that the needles can enter the fabric freely. We recommend using this technique each time you start the machine to avoid needle breakage. Now press the foot control, being sure to start slowly and work up to a faster speed. Again, this lessens the risk of needle breakage and allows for better control of the materials. Like free motion stitching on the sewing machine, simply move the fabric freely under the needles, front to back, side to side, or in a random or circular motion to create any look or design you wish. Be sure to gently move the materials, never pulling or forcing them under the needles. Felting machine tip number 4. Remember, the further down you depress the foot pedal, the faster your machine will move. Lightly depress the foot pedal and practice only moving the fabric when the needle exits the fabric. As you become more proficient with freehand felting, you will be able to increase your speed. Moving the fabric too fast can cause unnecessary needle breakage. Continue to add as many fibers and accent fabrics as desired. Look at the amazing and beautiful results. Though the technique for working with the felting machine is exceptionally easy, you'll find that you can fine-tune your technique to achieve different effects. The amount of needle punching you do will affect the final look of your project. You can needle punch or felt your accent fibers and fabrics as much or as little as you like. Wool fabrics and fibers are traditionally used in the art of felting because of their ability to mesh so completely without coming apart. The amount of felting you do will determine the loft of the upper materials. A small amount of needle punching or felting will result in a loftier look, and the upper material will not be as embedded in the lower. Extensive felting will greatly reduce the loft and mesh the fibers together as one piece. You can control the felting according to the project. If you are felting something that may be washed or worn, you'll want to go over your upper materials quite a bit to ensure that they are firmly embedded in the base. A wall hanging or other decorative project will not require as much felting. Also keep in mind there is no right or wrong side after you have used the felting machine. The top generally shows the materials you have embedded very well, while the bottom has a subtle coloration. Experiment with this effect. You'll be pleased with the results. Other tips and techniques. We talked briefly about what types of materials work well with the felting machine. Now let's really get to understand some of the great products you can use. First, we'll review good materials for bases for your projects. Probably the most popular material used as a base with the felting machine is felt. Felt comes in wool and polyester blends. The substance of the felt you choose will depend on the result you're hoping to achieve. Wool felt is especially accepting of other fibers and will act as a very forgiving base to your creations. Polyester felt is somewhat less accepting because it does not stretch as readily, but makes a very sturdy base. Felt is a wonderful material because there are so many colors and textures available today. This would be an ideal base for a project where the color of the base will show through when it is finished. If you are working on a project in which you will cover the surface entirely, you may choose to felt on a neutral color canvas. You can start with canvas, embed various materials and textures, and then use the resulting creation as a new piece of fabric. Denim is always a great base because it is heavy, sturdy, and readily available. You can even use your felting machine to decorate ready-to-wear jackets and shirts. A collar is often a good place to showcase some extra embellishment. You may want to use the felting machine to create 3D embellishments or standalone objects. For this, you can use a stabilizer or stiff interfacing as a base. You can also use interfacing to create whole pieces of cloth that can be incorporated into other creations. The felting machine is also a great tool for working with woolen knits or decorator fabrics. Before working on something that has value, be sure to use a test sample with the felting machine to see how your substances react. The materials you can use for embedding are limitless. One popular substance is wool roving. Roving is wool that has not been spun into yarn or thread. It is very light and wispy and can be pulled apart like a cotton ball. You can use roving to add flashes of color into your projects or use it with interfacing to make a standalone project. You may also choose to use various ribbon and yarns when working with the felting machine. The sky's the limit with these enhancements, but consider the properties of each fiber when choosing them for your project. Fibers that have more texture and loft are going to embed more readily than those that fray into compact materials. For instance, the loft of frayed woolen yarn is far wispier than that of gold lame. The yarn will embed more readily than the lame. This does not discount the lame from your project, however. You may consider combining machine stippling into projects with materials that don't embed as readily. You may also choose to cover your creation with a fine mesh to encapsulate your fibers. We found that some fibers need some tacking down before you start the actual embedding process. To do this, you can just lightly tack the yarns or fibers before starting to go over them in a more diligent fashion. You may also find a hand needle felting tool handy for this process. Once you get the hang of the machine, you'll find it much easier to manipulate various fibers, but at first you may find them unwieldy. As in anything, the more you use and experiment with your new felting machine, the more ideas will reveal themselves. Thank you for your purchase and have fun testing the creative possibilities of this exciting new hobby.